Now in its 9th year, this is GabNet, the Great American Broadcast Network. Talk like you've never heard it before.
Hey, hey everybody, this is Alex, and this is the Ramble. We go until midnight tonight, hopefully, from that city down there, New York. Ladies and gentlemen, Larry Bubbles Brown has been a friend of mine for how many years now, Larry?
Since 1983, so that would be 41 years.
Wow, I've known you that long?
Yeah, I did. Your first time you had me on the radio was January of 83.
Well, I think it's time for us to just not be friends anymore. How do you like that?
Take a break. That is frightening. That's like, 41
years, you know. And I knew my friend Shecky for at least 45. So, you know, I mean, when Shecky went, it devastated me because I knew him for so long. So stay alive.
I didn't even know him, and I was devastated. He sounded like such a great guy.
Stay away. Stay around here, okay? Don't leave. Don't leave me.
I'm trying.
I'm trying.
So where did you meet Shecky?
I was a gift. There was a guy I knew. His name was Steve Weiner. Where did he work? Well, he actually worked at the Letterman Show. He was the first year of the Letterman Show, and then he got fired. And I think, but Shecky wasn't working at the Letterman Show at that time, so I knew him before. Oh yes, he had turned out a film that I liked called King of the Z's, which was a parody on a documentary about a mythical movie studio that was the cheapest movie studio of all time. You know, like they did a film of Hamlet with ducks, you know, things like that. A very funny film, and that's what got them hired over at Letterman. But he had done that film, and I loved that film, and we became friends, Steve Weiner and I. Now, he had this friend named Rick Sheckman, and this is before Rick Sheckman was Shecky, okay? And he was a good friends with Rick, and so as a birthday present for Rick, who was a fan of my show, my radio show, he decided to invite him to lunch and asked that I maybe make an appearance as a cheap thrill for Shecky. So that's what happened. I was a gift.
Wow.
I was the cheapest birthday gift ever given. And we started becoming friends at that point. And I became bigger friends with Shecky than I ever did with Steve, although Steve's still a friend of mine. But it was something, really something. And that's how I met him. And
he turned out to be one of the longest employees of the Letterman history, right?
Short of 6 months he started at The Late Show on NBC. He did that, I think, within 6 months of it starting. In fact, Steve got him that job. He said, I got a great guy who could be a great film coordinator for this show. And they hired him on, and he started getting them all these incredible clips. And they loved him and kept him. And he never became anything beyond film coordinator. Although, technically, if they were to give him a title other than that for realistically what he did, they would have listed him as one of the producers. Because he had gotten that influential in the whole process. But he always wanted to be kept listed on the credits as film coordinator. Huh. So that was his title for all of the shows between 6 months into The Late Show. At the end, he was, I think, the third longest employee of Worldwide Pants. You know, so.
Wow. And did he interact with Letterman at all?
Oh yeah, quite a few. I'm sure he, Dave never went around and said, "Hi, Shecky, how you doing today?" That wasn't Letterman, okay. But I mean, he had an ongoing relationship with Letterman because guess who named him Shecky?
Probably Letterman.
Letterman. That he had fun names for everybody, and you know, his for Rick was Shecky. So the guy I knew as Rick morphed into Shecky, courtesy of David Letterman.
Yeah.
And he made a lot of appearances on the show. I mean, he played Elvis on the show. He did all.
Yeah, I remember that
of,
one. Yeah,
but he did all kinds of things. You know, it was because his delivery was almost a lack of any kind of charisma.
Exactly. Yeah,
it was
that's hilarious.
Right, Dave. I'm happy to be here, Dave. Even when he did Elvis, he read it so badly that it was funny. You know? And Dave loved that. He loved people who had a character within themselves. Larry Bud Melman is an example. Calvert DeForest. Do you know who Calvert DeForest played Larry Bud Melman? You remember Larry Bud Melman?
Right. He was very, very odd and funny.
Do you know who he was the nephew of?
No idea.
Lee DeForest, the guy who invented the vacuum tube that made it possible for us to have amplified audio.
Interesting.
Yeah. So, anyway, but
well, that's February. That's so. This month is the 42nd anniversary of the Letterman show.
Really?
He started in February of '82.
You mean the night show?
Yeah.
Because there was a day show, a year earlier.
There was a day show that was really very funny, but it didn't last very long.
It was a great show.
That afternoon show.
Yeah, I went and saw that show. I have tapes of that show, and it's very funny, very funny. But it was just too hip. It was too hip for the audience, He replaced 3 game shows. That's the kind of time slot they gave him. So when he went to late night, that was the perfect time to put Letterman on because that's where his audience was. Students, people who didn't sleep at night, whatever. That was his audience, and he got a rather large audience catering to them because nobody had been catering to them before. That was Tom Snyder, and that was a good show. In fact, I was on that show once. And Snyder was a pretty good interviewer, I think. Not a great interviewer.
Oh, yeah, I like him a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, but the show wasn't too hip for the room. It was under hip for the room. Okay, so when Letterman came on, it was refreshing. A story that people never talk about, and then I heard this one from Shecky. When Letterman replaced Snyder, so obviously when Letterman went into NBC and got an office there, the office they gave him was Snyder's. And when he walked into the room, Snyder had either written a note or written it on the walls because he figured they were going to paint the walls anyway, right? And it was a note to David Letterman. Please enjoy this office as much as I have. And much success.
Wow.
That was really nice. He could have just said, "Fuck you, you're replacing me."
I hope you die.
Yeah, I hope you die on your own vomit. But anyway, that was that's a little piece of trivia from the Letterman show. A lot of people don't know, and that's why in later years Letterman put him on right after him when he was at CBS.
Yeah.
Because he remembered that, and he remembered what a fine guy Snyder was to him. And he also liked what Snyder did. In fact, for years, Snyder was over at, I think it was MSNBC, or I can't remember all the places he was, but what he would do is he would take phone calls on his show. It was kind of a radio show. It went out as a radio show as well as a television show. And Letterman loved it. So he would call and get on the air and play all these different characters. And for a long time, Snyder didn't even know it was David Letterman.
Really?
Yeah, yeah. So in the end, he felt a certain love for Tom Snyder and said, "Come on over here. I got to put on a show after me, and you would be the best possible person to do it." And that's what became the Late Late Show with Tom Snyder. So, yeah, little stories. Okay.
What I liked about the Snyder show, it was the opposite of you. He did not have an audience, and for some reason, I felt when you watched Snyder, you almost felt like he was in the living room talking to you.
Well, Snyder had this wonderful quality. If you go back and watch him, that when he talked to you, talked to the audience, he looked straight into that camera and talked to you. A lot of people will look. If you look at Johnny Carson, they say the reason Johnny Carson was such an enigma is if you watch his TV show, he comes out from the curtain, starts doing his monologue, he never looks straight ahead at the camera. He looks to one side, then he looks to another side. He's playing to the audience in the theater. Okay? Snyder never did that. Snyder played directly to the camera. And Carson never played directly to the camera. So that was Snyder's biggie, in my opinion. I always liked that about him. But.
Yeah, and he his last place of residence was Tiburon.
Was it really?
Yeah, and he dropped by the Throckmorton one night. So.
Oh, I thought you meant that's where he died. He said he dropped.
Well, I think he did. Yeah,
by the Throckmorton. He
lived
in Tiburon.
No, that's where I've died many nights. But
well, he retired from that show at CBS. He decided
he retired, and I guess lived in. So he must have done well to live in Tiburon. Or something.
Well, he did. Yeah, I think he did okay. I think many years at NBC, and that's how he made his big bucks. Terrific. But anyway, so that's some of the little stories about Dave and Tom Snyder. So how are you doing, my friend?
I'm surviving. I thinking more and more about as you get older, you can't help but think about the mortality things.
Well, you see, you and I both fear death.
Yeah.
That's why we are the way we are. And so when we start talking, it eventually always comes up. I was just thinking.
Well, Letterman mentioned that recently. He said at 75, he said you have to think about it. Which is
I wake up every morning thinking about it. Because I'm not what I used to be. I don't walk as well as I used to. Things like that. And then I go, okay, so I want to live to be 100. Okay, what's it going to be like when I'm 100? It's got to be. You almost probably welcome death.
Yeah. How many celebrities have lived to be 100?
I mean, Carl Reiner was famously quoted as saying every morning the first thing he does is he opens up the paper, looks at the obituaries, and if his name isn't there, he then goes on with his day.
Well, I think he made 99, didn't he?
May have made 100, but he made 99. That I know. Yeah, and now Mel Brooks, his best friend, is getting to that point.
He's close, yeah.
Wait a minute. Echo? How old? Echo. This is not responding to me. Echo. How old is Mel Brooks?
Mel Brooks is 97 years old.
97 years old. So, pretty old. You may live a long life because you're a comedian. Comedians either die young or they die old, really old.
Well, two have lived to be 100, Bob Hope and George Burns.
George Burns, right? Yep, absolutely.
And who just died that was, I think he was 97, was Shecky Green.
Really?
Who I thought had died years ago.
There are those people that when they die, you go, he's still alive or was still alive?
Yeah.
Just because you never hear from them for years, But you have and some of the people who live the longest are actually actors. I mean, you had, I'm trying to...
Yeah, you were mentioning that guy that was in that Hitchcock movie. It was like 107. I think.
Was pushed off of the, fell off of the Statue of Liberty. I'm trying to remember his name right now because my mind's a blank, see? And then you had Olivia de Havilland. She was 104, I think, when she died.
Wow.
Yeah. All of these people weren't getting insurance from my union. So, but
yes, our wonderful union screwed us over.
Yeah, it really screwed us over. To where now I'm having to, get my insurance. I pay a lot of money for health insurance now. I'm going to be paying. Marjorie's office was paying for it, but it's through in April, and she. They were paying for each of us $320 a month for supplemental to our Medicare. So, but thank you, union, for making it that much. It used to be $2,000 a year for the two of us when we were with the union. So, anyway, and plus we had great dental as well. And since I'm getting old and toothless, I need all the dental I can get,
Aren't you getting an implant?
I got the implant.
Wow. How's it work?
Fine. The best kind of implants are implants you don't even notice you have. Sometimes I have to go back and figure out where they are. I have 4 of them.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
1, 2, 3, 4, yeah. In fact, the one I just got is in front of one that I got before, so but so far they all have worked pretty well. You don't hear about them particularly going bad, although when they go bad, and I think they just put in a new one, that's all. So,
and your insurance covered that?
It covered part of it. Those implants are expensive.
Yeah, like $5,000.
Well, why the government, for instance, with Medicare, doesn't give you dental is beyond me, because when you reach 80, 85, your teeth are going to hell, and you could use...
Yeah, the insurance acts like they act like dental is not a health problem. It's insane.
Yeah, they do not include any kind of dental coverage. There are things called Advantage, which are insurance companies that take over for Medicare. And you're no longer getting paid by Medicare. You're getting paid by these health insurance companies. And they offer plans that they say, and we have dental coverage. Well, the dental coverage is 2 cleanings a year. That's it. You don't get anything else. The rest of it is, So really, dental is probably more expensive even than medical at this point. It's getting ridiculous.
Oh, yeah.
And, you want to get an implant over a bridge, because bridges you have to take out and clean them. And not a bridge, but a denture, let's say. You have to clean them and do all of that. But if you got yourself, if you have to have all your bottom teeth taken out and put a denture in there, they can take that, they can put the bolts in your mouth, and then they can get a whole denture and place it in there, and really it's like you've got your own teeth back. But that's very, very, very expensive. I think that could cost you about $20,000-$30,000.
Mm-hmm.
Government doesn't take care of it. So, and dental insurance, that's bullshit. Dental insurance, you get dental insurance, you pay for it. There's a deductible, first of all, and then they only give you $1,500 a year. Well, in a dentist's office, you can eat that up just, in deep root cleaning. Yeah. It crowns, yeah. A crown will cost you actually more probably than your insurance will cover. So you're always winding up putting money out of your pocket. I have insurance, but so far I haven't gotten the bill yet. But I'm sure I owe my dentist about $2,000-$3,000. So those things should be taken care of by the government too. Everything should be taken care of the government. It just bothers me that Medicare is only 80%, right? and you got to come up with the other 20%.
Yeah, and that 20% can easily bankrupt most people.
Well, I mean, I'm paying $320 a month. All right? Now, that shouldn't be. I mean, what kind of country do we have where we don't care if people die because they don't have the money to have good medical care? That's cruel. It's terrible. God, we're a horrible country.
Well, backwards in many ways, that's for sure.
Oh yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing. But your health's okay. I mean, did you do
so far? Yeah.
Did you do the eyes yet?
No, they're waiting for a reschedule on that, and the hernia.
The hernia, yeah.
I'm falling apart.
I had a doctor see me, and he looked at the hernia, and he said, "Yeah, it's bulging." He said, "But if it doesn't hurt, and you can poke it back in, you're fine."
Yeah.
You know, they don't. If your doctor wants to do it, it's probably not because he wants to make the money, but because he thinks you need it. Because most doctors, I'm sure your doctor, even with that hernia, said, "Let's wait and see." You know, until it gets uncomfortable, let's not do anything about it. Because it's not a simple operation. You know.
No, it's not an easy recovery. So.
Although we used to make jokes about hernia operations, didn't we? As you get old, you don't make jokes about hernia operations, but
no, all the things we joked about come back to haunt us.
So anyway, I mean, but you should get the eyes done. That's a simple thing. Don't even worry.
Yeah, I heard that's really. Yeah, you told me that it's really simple.
Yeah, it's a breeze. It's a walk in the park. It's just, it's like everything else. It's annoying. I mean, you're sitting there and they're literally cutting into your eye and taking a lens out and putting a new one in. But, people will go, "The Lord protects us. God willing, the Lord will take care of things." Blah, 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 blah. You know that bullshit.
Yeah.
Well, if the Lord were that good, why is it man can put a better lens in your eye than you got from God?
The Lord dropped the ball.
Oh, he dropped the ball on that one. He dropped the ball on the prostate. Hey, I think I'll build a prostate that will put out the fluid with which the sperm, which is made in your balls, can go and whatever, right?
Terrible design.
Yeah, but I'll just, where can I put it? Well, I'll put something through it so that we can run the urethra right through this thing. That's a good idea. Yeah, that's superb engineering. The only thing is when you get old and the prostate enlarges, it clamps down on your urethra, and that's why guys get up in the middle of the night 4 times, 5 times, 10 times to dribble out what they can dribble out. Thank you, God. You really designed a great body here.
That's a worse design than Ford,
Yes, worse than the Edsel.
Right.
You remember the Edsel? Boy.
I remember my parents talking about it. They always used to laugh that the grill looked like a toilet seat.
Well, that is not what the grill was meant to look like. At the time, S.I. Hayakawa, you remember the name?
I do.
Yeah. He became a chancellor at San Francisco State University. I think he also became a politician. But S.I. Hayakawa came out with a treatise on the sexual symbolism of the American automobile. And somebody at Ford read that and decided, yes, people buy cars because there's something in it that has sexual symbolism that they can relate to, and let's build a car, and in the front, let's build something that looks like a vagina.
Really? I never heard that.
Yes, it was meant to look like a vagina. And they thought people would be running to these cars to buy them, or at least men. I don't know, unless you wanted to have sex with the grill of your car, it wasn't very practical. But that's what it was meant to be. I mean, what did it look like?
Yeah, the toilet seat.
Well, toilet seat, but toilet seats aren't that shape. They're rounder. What looks like that?
I guess the VJ.
Yeah. Well, I was watching Last night I was watching a thing with Bobby Slayton, one of these stand-up shows that he had done called Born to be Bobby. And he has a line that when God made the vagina, he should have put in a what do you call it, a change machine, you know. Where you click it and the quarters come out and so on and so forth. Should have built that right in, because that's a real money maker. He says, in fact, don't you ever notice? Hilarious. You ever notice that the vagina looks like you could take a credit card and swipe it in like at an ATM?
Classic.
Oh God. Anyway, hey, listen. Whoa, we're running out of time here. It goes fast with you, Bubs. It really does.
It does, yeah.
Yeah, it's something I look forward to. I hope you do too.
Well, don't forget the Edsel was a big failure.
Oh yeah, it was a big failure. Nobody wanted a car with a vagina. Ladies and gentlemen, Larry Bubbles Brown. Say goodnight, Larry.
See you next week.
Now in its 9th year, this is GabNet, the Great American Broadcast Network. Talk like you've never heard it before.
Well, hello there, everybody. How are you? Good to see you. We didn't have a full show last night. We turned it off at about 3 minutes past 11 Eastern Time. The reason was, and let me explain it, is that except for Jeff, who's always there for us most of the time, there was nobody calling. Nobody. Zero. Zilch. And I just decided, since Amy didn't have a show going on that night, no reason why I couldn't sign off early, so I just said goodnight and spent the rest of the 24 following hours up until now depressed. And trying to decide whether I was even going to do a show tonight, because quite frankly, it I don't really need to anymore. Which leads me to a thought that I've been having, and that is, by the way, somebody did try to call me last night, but they called me about a minute after I had signed off, and that was Don Geller. And he said, I heard you were having trouble and I wanted to get you out of it. And he was going to call. So I want to give Don Geller his due props. Great guy. Just a great guy. But anyway, I've just been trying to think of what to do here, because I've never had that happen where nobody called, basically. I mean, Jeff called, but basically nobody called. And I had to figure out what to do with it, So I've been doing a lot of thinking today about what I want to do with the show and what I want to do with it. Because at this time of night, I seem to get tired very easily these days. Now, that could just be because of my age, my declining years, whatever. And that I just don't have the energy to do a show this time of night. So, to then do a show this time of night, to put everything I've got into it, and as a result, the response I get from an audience is, we don't really care. He'll get along without us. We take him for granted. And so my thinking has been that at the very least, what I might do is move the show to like 1 o'clock in the afternoon Eastern Time, thereby making me a lot more awake than I am now. But I'm thinking about doing that. And I know it might inconvenience some of you who just, wouldn't be able to call at that time. But it'll be a whole new audience that'll be available to me. And I'm just thinking about doing that because, quite frankly, I don't need the kind of crap I put up with last night, And on top of that, nobody seemed to notice that I wasn't on last night, so that also is doubly hurtful. So anyway, I don't know how to put it any more abruptly than that. But some changes have got to be made. I can't keep doing this and not getting the reward out of it, And the reward is not money. the reward is an audience, you know. So anyway, look at that. Look at that. See that? I can't figure out what that is. It's just really dark there. If I shine a light on it, it goes away. So anyway, I was at my dentist today. My dentist, by the way, has the office in New York City had to be closed down, and they're moving into a new one, but it's taking forever to get that one going. So my dentist picks me up and drives me to Scarsdale. So we did that today. And then I went there to get a crown put in that they had made up for me. And I put the crown in. She put the crown in. She said, well, she says, it fits, but there's a gap between the tooth ahead of it and this one, and I don't like it that way. So she said, we're going to send it back and have them redo it. So now I got to go back in 2 more weeks, but they're going to pick me up again. But I wind up spending like 3 hours there because I got to wait till they go home to drive me home. So anyway, that's what's been going on in my life. Boy, is it exciting, huh? Can't believe it. Well, we have some people tonight, and we'll let's see here. Let's just admit all these people here, and let's see them as they come on.
3 hours.
There's Charlene, and there's Jeff. Thank you, Jeff, for being there last night for me. I appreciate it. Alan, Josh, Charlie Wallace, and your camera's really not bright at all, Brian. What is that all about?
Just
moving my stuff back. I tried to fix something, but
yeah.
did you notice that there is one of your favorite callers who actually said sorry this morning at 7:35 and sent you a message, or you didn't see that?
No, I didn't. Where did you send the message?
The only way I know how to communicate to you.
Which is how? Through Facebook or
Smoke signals? Oh, through whatever messenger, Facebook or something, I don't know, whatever.
Facebook, probably.
Yeah, through Facebook.
Yeah.
I sent you a message this morning and said, sorry, I was logging on late.
Huh.
Hey, it can't rain every Thursday. Come on.
Thursdays are notoriously bad for you.
Yeah, yeah. What was your excuse, Alan?
Huh?
What was your excuse?
Well, I was having dinner with my mother and trying to get a 90-year-old woman to eat more quickly so I can get to my show doesn't work well.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. But anyway, so here we all are. Hello, and Josh. I forgot Josh. Josh, I know, was working last night, right, Josh?
Yes, I was.
Yeah. Yeah.
Some excuse.
So, you know, that's the way it goes, folks. Oh man, I have this air conditioning and I got to turn it up even more. It has been so hot here today. You know, how's it down where you? Well, Texas is supposed to be terrible, right?
It was 97 today. It was a nice, cool.
97.
Yes.
And I know that part of the world. What is this?
I'm trying to figure out my camera. Just keep talking, keep talking, keep talking.
Oh, there we go.
Oh, much better picture.
I know.
Yeah.
I can't look good all the time.
Yeah. Well, thank you for sending me a note. I didn't see it. When you sent it to Facebook?
Yeah, I sent it to Facebook. That's the only way I know how to communicate to you. Yes.
Good.
Let me see here. Facebook.
It's okay. Don't feel bad or anything. It's okay. Just keep going.
Oh, wait a minute.
I have his phone number.
Let me see here.
You're
Let me go to
lucky.
Facebook.
I
here.
don't have Facebook so anymore.
Well, there's Facebook, and let me see here. Did I get one? There it is, Brian Neary.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't see it. It didn't flag itself as it
Okay,
was.
I accept your apology.
Sorry about last night. I just missed logging in on a bit late. Hope you have a great day. Thank you very much, Brian. I appreciate it.
Okay, does that make everything better?
Yeah,
Feel better
yeah.
now?
Well, no, that's very nice of you.
Yeah, I would have logged in about 15 minutes late, but you weren't here, so
Yep. Did you think I was dead or something?
no. I don't know what. I thought maybe you had technical problems again.
No, I don't have technical problems. I got to go out and buy this new Apple Studio for here.
For the 1 day a week that you want to do the show?
Huh?
For the 1 day a week that you want to do the show?
Yeah, well, I do other stuff. I edit video and things like that, and that's what it's very good for, too. But I'm getting a very powerful version of this machine.
Yeah. 29 minutes after you get yours, Phil will have to get his, too.
Well, he has one,
Oh,
but he would have to spend a little bit more money and buy a new one to get what I'm getting. So,
well, he's saving a lot of money on weekends.
yeah. Well, no, it's gonna have more power all the way around. So, not that I'm not happy with this. I could live with this machine, but since I got a bit of money, I figured I wanted to buy a toy. So that's the
So
toy.
if you did your show at 1 o'clock Eastern, that would be 4 o'clock.
It'd be 10 o'clock your time in the
10
morning.
o'clock, not 4 o'clock.
Oh, yeah, it'd be 10 o'clock in the morning. Are you kidding me?
Would that mean
You
you
can
would?
almost guarantee you'll never
Well,
see
is that
me.
time inconvenient for you? Is that time?
I'm sleeping.
Oh, you
So-
It
are?
works great for me.
Good. Then I'm definitely going to start doing it at 1 o'clock in the afternoon.
Charlie won't fall asleep. Charlene's had her hand up for a while.
What would happen to Amy, Alex, if you do that?
Well, I don't
Would she?
know.
She would still be on, at
I
12
have
o'clock
no
or
idea.
whatever.
I have no idea.
Have her come
Yeah.
on your time slot and watch everybody call her.
She would probably like being in your time slot, actually.
I'm sure she would.
Yeah.
Because
Well,
she gets tired sometimes, so.
yeah. Well, I mean, that's what I'm saying is that I think I could do a better show at these days at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. How many here would be available at 1 o'clock in the afternoon?
I'd try to make time.
Yeah.
You got 3 people.
I have to
Yeah.
put a meeting in my Outlook, so I'm busy that hour.
Yeah, I'll schedule you in.
Yeah.
Wide awake by 1 o'clock.
But we'll keep it the way it is for the time being. I don't want to inconvenience you people.
Thank you.
That's East Coast.
Yes, thank you.
West Coast people.
What's his name?
Alex,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I don't want you to lose audience and everything because this is kind of depressing and everything. And you said, you aren't dead. I'm so glad you aren't gone because I woke up this morning and my mom had passed away.
Oh,
So
no.
don't make me cry like you did Tony, but
Well,
I'm
sorry
a
for your
wreck.
loss.
Well, he didn't cry
Thank you,
about
everybody.
his mother. He cried about his aunt.
Aunt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
And
know.
he called me up on the show one day and he said, I'm not feeling very good. My aunt died today. And I said, well, you know what, Tony? What? I never liked her anyway. Now, the reason I said that is that Penn Jillette once told me that's sometimes the best thing you can do because you lighten the subject. Nobody feels that you really, if I said that to you just now about your mother, you'd know I wasn't serious, and that I was just trying to make you laugh a little. So,
Yeah. A lot of people today, have been making me laugh,
yeah.
sort of, and
How
I
old
feel
was
better.
she, by the way?
94. She just had her birthday on the 17th and Mother's Day.
Yeah.
And I woke up this morning and that was it.
You got to feel the way about it that I felt when my mother died.
Mhm.
I felt now there are going to be more parking spaces.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, what I thought about was how many people have parents who die in their 80s or maybe their 70s or their 60s or whatever. And
My mom was 37.
your mom was
37 when she died.
Your mom was 37.
My mom was
Your mother's
37.
still alive, right, Dallin? Yeah.
Yeah.
Is your mother still alive, Josh?
Yes.
Okay. How about you, Charlie?
No, my mom's been dead for 26 years.
Yeah. So what I thought when my mother died at 100 was I could sit here and feel really bad. But, you know, to begin with, everybody dies eventually. And you're really lucky to have her for that many years.
Yeah.
You know? That's
Thank
a
you, Alex.
real
That makes
blessing.
me feel better.
Yeah, it's a real blessing. But to feel really sorry about it, it doesn't make a hell of a lot of sense. You know?
Right. It's not going to do anything and bring her back or something.
Not going
or
to do
whatever.
anything to bring her back, and it flies in the face of all those people who lose their parents really young. You know, those are the people who, if they want to be miserable, I'll have them cry on my shoulder. You know, but so just be happy. She lived a great life. She had a great daughter, and you know.
And now you got a spare cane.
Yeah.
And just to balance the books, my daughter told us today that she's expecting.
Ooh.
Oh,
to be a
congratulations, Charlie.
grandfather
Oh, really?
At the age of 74.
And now
Oh,
do
you
have-
never were before? Oh, I
No.
thought maybe you were before. No?
3
Your
kids.
daughter
and
is
none of them had any
74?
kids.
No.
So you're going to be a grandfather.
Yeah, congratulations there,
Yeah.
Charlie. Wow.
That's
I
great.
hear that's the best thing.
Yeah.
It's almost
Can't
better
wait.
than having a kid.
Yeah.
Be dead.
Because you know you can lavish everything you want to on these kids, and at the end of the day, the parents pick them up and take them home. You know,
Yeah.
They're wonderful.
You
Yeah.
did get the cane, right, Charlene?
Oh, yes, and she got some use out of it. Yeah,
really?
thank you, Alan. Yeah,
Oh,
when I took her,
you're welcome. I'm
I took her to
sorry
the
that
podiatrist Thursday, and you know he's going to be shocked. You know that.
I'm sorry that it didn't give her good luck and make her last another year.
Yeah, but I will save it because I'm going to need one.
Okay.
I can use one now a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, they're nice, aren't they?
Oh, beautiful. Yes, it was beautiful. Thank you.
oh, I'm getting good use out of the cane he sent me.
And I sent your wife one too. I sent her mother one. So
Yeah,
I should go into the cane business.
you really
Yes,
should.
good.
I am thinking again now that I am using a cane quite often, although I didn't use it today. I'm thinking of getting a really nice cane of some sort. You know, something that people look at it and go,
With all this money you got, why don't you get a diamond crusted cane?
Well, no, I'm not going to waste that much money on a goddamn cane, okay? But for $50, you can get one that has like a wolf's head on it, you know.
Or you can get a sticker that says Ferrari to stick on it.
What?
A Ferrari sticker to put on the cane. You know?
Why would I do that?
Because it would be expensive. I don't know.
I mean, maybe that might be a good idea for Brian because he's a car guy.
That's what I was thinking.
I don't think he's using the cane yet.
No,
Not yet.
he's got a few years till the cane.
Right.
Do you use a cane at all, Alan?
Yes.
You do.
I blew out my meniscus about 6 years ago, and it worked really good.
Yeah, well, I got a meniscus problem too, so.
Meniscus.
Me
Mine's,
three.
it's in your
Mine.
knee area.
Yeah, my knee has a torn meniscus too.
I have a torn meniscus.
They don't like doing surgery on them anymore.
How many people here have a torn meniscus? See? It's
How about
not
a
that
half?
uncommon.
Feels
Yeah.
good. Feels fine.
So how you doing, Josh?
Pretty well. Thank you.
Thanks,
You know, I
guys.
figured this week, Josh, that since the trial is on hiatus, that since it's on hiatus, that we wouldn't have to hear about Donald Trump. And you tune in MSNBC, and they can't stop talking about him. They have a whole week to not even mention his name, and they can't do it. And they have yet to learn the lesson that they should have learned from 2016 when they got him elected by just talking about him too much.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they stay on it. That's their deal, you
Yeah.
know. And he, of course, is out there saying some, pretty outrageous stuff the last couple of days. So he gives them plenty of material to have guests and things on to go over and keep people watching. So
What did he say
their
now?
money making deal. I'm sorry.
What did he say now?
Well, I mean, I heard some bits and pieces of that speech that he gave in New York, in the Bronx, at a park somewhere. I don't know where.
Yeah.
I think it must have been yesterday, maybe. Again with the immigration thing, we don't know who these people are. They don't speak our language.
Oh, God.
When they gather in these large areas with all these tents and they've all got these wood-fired stoves, he's convinced that they all have some kind of plan and that they're not just homeless, that they're kind of working together. And his words were, he thinks they're going to get us from within, insinuating that they are basically, I guess, going to form together and make some kind of a military force or something, I mean, was the way that I took it. Maybe if you don't want to take it that way, if they're not going to do it by force, then they're going to do it by silent coup, I'm not somehow, by replacing all of us with, they'll be the new us by taking our jobs and votes and whatever. So, and then again promised an immediate largest, deportations and removals, in our history, and the same thing basically, but worse. And if that was all followed up by, his folks going around telling everybody that Biden tried to assassinate him because in the warrant to search his premises, there was language in there that said, they could use deadly force, which is actually not at all what it said. But
What did it say exactly?
It said the same thing that all of them say, including the same warrant that was served on Joe Biden's home. That it says agents, it's just a guideline for agents really not to use deadly force. It basically reminds them of, if you will, of their rules of engagement, of when to draw their weapon and when to use their weapon. It's sort of a last-minute reminder that says, even if someone gets mouthy, even if someone throws a lamp down, even if someone's stomping around the room, remain calm and try not to shoot them.
So how does that translate into, they said use deadly force?
Well, it doesn't, but that doesn't matter. All he's got to do is say that, and all he's got to do is have other people say that, and then people will talk about it for weeks. Personally, I don't really understand why the administration doesn't just say, well, it doesn't say that, but even if it did, what's the big deal? This man's own lawyers were the very people that made the argument this was legal, so it doesn't make any difference.
You've got your hand up.
So they're federal police officers. It's an escalation of force issue. And if somebody in the, where he was searching, where they were, FBI were searching the warrant, which is legal reason to be on the property or in the property or whatever, if somebody came at him with a knife or something, I mean, what are they supposed to do? Spit on the guy? No, they're gonna try and stop him, and if they can't, then they'll use deadly force.
Can I ask you why people use deadly force to protect themselves? I mean, you can't shoot him in the leg.
Well, if a guy's shooting at you and you shoot him in the leg, you might piss him off and he might continue to shoot. You want to stop the threat.
Suppose he's just coming at you. I mean, they still shoot him anyway.
Well, actually, an interesting thing happened yesterday in San Francisco. A man was reported with a rifle, and San Francisco police found the guy in Bayview Hunters Point, where they said he was, and it was a loaded rifle, and they shot him with a less than lethal round. It comes out of a shotgun with an orange handle and that beanbag rubber balls. They didn't specify, and it hurts, and it stopped the guy, and the guy wasn't shot, and they arrested him, and it was over with. So sometimes you have that option.
Yeah, I mean, so I guess regardless of that, basically the the paragraph that they're losing their minds over is, what's been described by dozens of people that I would trust is, listen, this is just copied and pasted into every search warrant that's served, by this entity, the FBI.
Mm-hmm.
So they're like, this is one of a half a dozen paragraphs that's in every search warrant. That as they write the warrant, when they get to the part about this, they go to the other monitor on their screen, they copy, they paste, they keep going, they find the next area, they copy, they paste, they write the specifics, they copy, it's in every, so it's somehow turned into, they were going to try to have him killed. So, I mean, this is just in the last couple days. It's kind of bizarre.
Especially since he wasn't even there.
That's what I was just going to say. He wasn't even there.
Right.
Yeah, when he wasn't there on purpose. They waited till he wasn't there to do the raid.
Yeah, so, I mean, this is all bizarre, and it's just... I mean, I want this stuff to be over, and, hopefully it turns out the way we need it to, because, I'm getting tired of it. I mean, I'm just, I'm telling you that I'm a little shocked in a way, and some other ways that I'm not, that the rise of fascism in this country is coming back slowly but surely. And I'm just telling you,
coming back, or is
it's been here.
I mean, well, how bad has it been here in the past? I mean, we've had
I don't know that it's really been here in the past, so I don't know that I should specify it to this country, but
Joe McCarthy.
Well, I mean, during World War II, there were people here in this country who were pro-Hitler. But anytime you have somebody like a Hitler and you have things going on in this country, there's going to be a group of people doing that. That's just, par for the course.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think we've had any kind of...
Well, no, I don't think we've had a sustained, movement or infiltration within our, to the level, not to the level that I see. I mean, I see it now. It's permeated into political leaders, to the government, to the business world in some ways. It's very dangerous, if you ask me. And I think other people agree. It's very dangerous, and it's starting to become worrisome, and it makes me sad in a way, angry in another, and a little sick. I mean, this is what makes me sick. Like I tried to say, a few months ago or whatever, is I don't care what you think she was saying or what. You couldn't trust Nikki Haley. She's part of a party that you just can't trust. And I hate to say it, but I was right, because she turned around and did exactly what I thought she would do. And she will not be the last one that you think
why
has
she
finally
couldn't
turned the corner, and I'm telling you, they haven't.
Why she couldn't just say, I'm not going to vote for Donald Trump, but then again, I'm not going to vote for anybody.
I mean, if that was her view, that is certainly the right that people have.
I can't bring myself to vote for him, but I can't bring myself to vote for Joe Biden. Okay.
I mean, she also has the right to vote for Trump, but I'm just saying her point was that, oh, well, I have to vote for Trump because Biden is just so bad and dangerous for our country. Oh, give me a break. I mean, give me a fucking break.
I don't think in America anybody should have to vote for the lesser of two evils. If you feel there are two evils, then you don't vote for either of them.
Well,
and you stay home. I'm sorry, you stay home.
That's an option. They could do that.
No one is denying anyone that right.
Somebody said to me, well, then you lose your right to bitch. And I said, no, I don't.
No,
whoever made that statement up,
Right.
Who would really care who she votes for? Why couldn't she just go vote in silence?
Right.
Oh, you could
her
vote for
financial
somebody
gain
else.
and her. Look, I mean, she got a financial gain out of it because she now has a job with this Hudson Institute where she made the announcement. Okay, she stands to gain a lot of money, and I'm sure that she was promised in some ways by certain people that in 2028 they would try to support her as a front runner, because if Trump is reelected, he will only be allowed to serve that one term. So they're guaranteed to have a new Republican nominee, or at least they all think they do. Okay, let's wait and see. But, so this is, I mean, a cheap person who can't be trusted. I mean, that's what I'm saying. She's a low-life, cheap person to sell herself for a fucking nickel to a bunch of racists and a bunch of fascists.
Yep.
You know, and if there, I mean, I can almost, I tell you what, and I don't care if it's controversial, I can almost put up with a racist because I've known a lot of them that are actually some pretty decent people who just have a little bit of a misunderstanding in their mind about how things really work. The one thing that I cannot put up with is a fascist. I can't stand them. You know, I mean, so that's what that party is becoming. I mean,
This,
to me,
by the
they're
way,
starting to say it out. They're starting to say it out loud in a way. They're not even. Some of them aren't even denying it anymore, and that's when you know it's taking a turn for the worse.
Josh, this is as bothered as you seem to have been since I've known you.
Well, yeah, because I'm tired of hearing the crap that he has to say, which is one thing because it has nothing to do with policy arguments. I mean, if he wants to just run for president and have policies that I absolutely cannot stand, that's perfectly fine. But the normalization of the political violence and all of this racially motivated and this nationalistic rhetoric is incredibly stupid and it's incredibly dangerous. You know, and that's what people are missing. I'm telling you, the signs are all there. I know what many of them are very well. I spent a great deal of time around it. And you know, again, when people in a movement like that get to the point where they no longer think that they have to tell you that in like code or talk in a circle about it, or they can just outright say it. That's really, to me, where they're at. I mean, you know, so I mean that's what I'm saying. I mean, you know, in 1937 or 1938, really before that, but certainly then, no one was really secretly a Nazi. You know, they were like, yeah, I'm a member of the Nazi Party. You're right. I want a true Germany. You know, I mean, they were proud of that, and it's getting that way here slowly, a little bit more every day. Yeah, I want a real America. I mean, you know, and then you start asking what that means, and before they used to stammer, and now, you know, their speech is picked up a little bit.
Well, you know, there's one aspect of Donald Trump that I don't understand why his people, like, I assume that if you're a proud boy and you carry a gun, you consider yourself tough, right? But Trump has turned into a whiny little bitch.
Yeah.
All he does is whine and moan and bitch and moan and moan and bitch and bitch and moan, you know?
Yeah. But every Republican today seems to be supporting him.
They all go in lockstep.
Well, but that's what I'm saying. That rhetoric is easy to get going. I mean, you know, vote for me because I'm going to fix Germany from all of those people who ruined it and all those people who let the rest of Europe ruin it for you, and those people were Jews.
Well, all I know is he's a
My
whiny...
life is shitty because of Jews.
You see him in court.
Wow.
In court
I mean,
every
you know.
day. In court every day. What's his name? Jimmy Kimmel did something interesting the other night because one thing, do you know what Trump's been complaining about in those little speeches he gives outside of the courtroom? His main complaint about the courtroom?
It's cold.
How cold it is.
Yeah, I remember what you were saying. Yeah.
Somebody took a thermometer in there, and it was 72 degrees.
That's perfect. Come on.
And you're supposed to wear
I'm willing to keep you here on 68.
I mean, he's a whiny little bitch. That's what he is.
Does anybody know what he's going to do if he gets elected? I mean, he's going to do good. He hasn't said, I'm going to lower taxes. I'm going to...
He hasn't talked for one moment about what he plans to do in this country.
And he never did. And he must, you know.
And yet there are people... I mean, I think, quite frankly, Americans should lose their right to vote because they don't vote responsibly.
Yeah, I mean, but I mean, the only thing that he's really mentioned is about his settling of grievances. You know?
Yeah, that's what he said.
If you want to grind it down to simplicity, Nazism, it wasn't so much a party about racial purity, it was a party about grievances.
By the way, if
They
you
were agreed.
think about this for a moment, everybody who's watching and listening to this program, all three of you,
I know one.
in 2016, look at how he was in 2016. Pretty disgusting, right?
Yeah.
Well, how much older is he now? Oh, 8 years
70.
older?
8 years.
People only get worse. They don't get better.
I think
And
he
quite
takes
frankly,
two out.
I think he's totally lost his mind.
Yeah.
You know?
And the thing is, like before, you know, the scariest thing for me is then who does he want to get in after him? Let's say he goes another 4 years. Who's he going to line up next?
Barry.
You know, he wants to start lining up his family. I mean,
Yeah.
Josh talking about fascism. It's like, you know, this whole regime of his family. You know, he wants to take over, and the Trumps be, you know.
Well, I don't think he thinks anybody's going to take over from him. He's going to find a way to get another term.
He's going to stay until he dies.
Change the Constitution.
Yeah.
Yeah, he said he
Wait
would
a
agree.
minute. Bree has something to say here. Yes, Bree.
No, I'm just saying he said that he wants to make it so that president can serve 3 terms.
Right.
That takes a constitutional amendment.
Yep. Just said that.
Well,
I think
we certainly after Roosevelt felt that 4 terms was way too many. Okay.
Yeah.
And the reason we settled on two terms was that you know that seemed reasonable.
Well, that was
I think 3.
that
3
was
is
the,
reasonable.
that was the general accepted amount as the example was set by Washington.
Yeah.
Yeah, but not
Everyone
three
said if
without
2
either.
terms was good enough for George Washington, it's good enough for me.
Yeah, but
not
they
not
didn't
three.
set it. They excuse me, Brian. I'll come to you in a second.
Yeah.
They didn't put into law the fact that it was going to be 2 terms, 3 terms, whatever. So people could run as long as they kept winning. In the case of Roosevelt, he kept being elected because there was a war on and people didn't want to change horses in midstream. Yes, Brian.
Not 3 terms when they're 80 years old, though. Come on. Please.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
He won't make that.
I'm not trying to be ageist, but there should be a limit.
Should we actually have a law against how old you can be to run for president?
We got to
I
have
think
those
so.
tests, right? Those cognizance tests or whatever, you know? Have them run one of those and see how alert.
Well, you said no. You said no, Bree. You feel a person could be like 90 and still run for president?
Absolutely, sure. Yep.
Do you think he would be competent at that age?
Depends on
My mom is 91, and she's more competent
yeah, your mother's
than Biden or Trump together.
Your mother's sharp as a tack, but she isn't running for president, and she doesn't have to hold down that job every day.
That's for the electorate to decide, but you know, I'm not. I would be against any age limit.
I'm 84. I know what it's like to be 84. Okay, I think I'm fairly sharp on this show, right? I don't think
you
I'm,
are.
Yes.
right.
Absolutely.
Yes.
I
Yes.
believe me, I don't think I could do the job right now. If you wanted me to be president, you know. So,
Too much.
how old is Joe Biden going to be when he's finally in his last year? He's going to be about 84, isn't he? 85?
86.
86.
He's already 80.
You know,
81
speaking
by
as an
the
older
time-
person, you're not being ageist when you say, hey, maybe you should give up at a certain time, you know.
He might quit.
What?
He might quit in 2 years if he became president again.
Well, then we get what's her name as president.
The vice president.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know my position on that, Alex. You know, let's not go round and round. But she didn't even make it through the Democratic primary.
No.
So she was selected by the elites, and
Yeah,
this is
he's right.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just disagree.
Well, you know, I think one of the problems I think that Biden had is running again. He didn't do the Democratic Party any great service by running again. But as long as he was going to run again, he should have had at his back as vice president somebody that America could go, I can live with that person as president.
Yeah.
I don't think they can say that about Kamala Harris.
I can say that.
You can say that?
Really?
Yeah, I could live with her as president.
Why?
Yeah, why?
Why? 'Cause for one thing, she's not going to appoint any more Alitos and Clarence
Well,
Thomas.
but that's a given. If it's a Democrat, right? She's not going to do that, of course. But that's not what we're saying here. What we're saying here is, do you feel confident at her being a good holding down the job of president and doing a good job of it?
Well, when Roosevelt died, and we got a new president, right? How does he work out?
Well, Truman was considered a real lox, you know. They didn't think he was going to be a very good president. He became a better president than they ever imagined he would be. But then again, how old was Truman? Truman wasn't. He was like maybe in his 60s, you know.
I think. Let me see.
Yeah. Are you looking it up, Bree?
I'm going to look it up. Truman, right? At the end?
Truman, how old was he?
Let me take a look here.
Oh, he wasn't that old. Maybe like 67.
Yeah.
Oh, was he
70.
that? I didn't think he was that old.
I think, to be honest with you, I think the age Obama was is a perfect age for a person to be president. He's like alert and alive, and he
50 something. Or?
Yeah, I can't imagine how difficult that job on a day-to-day basis is. You know?
Yeah, he was 60.
Yeah.
60, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And he lived till 88.
Yeah.
Truman, yeah.
Wow. I didn't know
Wow,
he lived
he
that
died
long.
in 1972. Wow.
Wow. I didn't realize that, yeah.
Yeah. And he had to make one of the toughest decisions any president ever had to make.
Yeah, he did.
You know? I don't know if
I watched that. There was a show. There's a museum in New York, the Museum of Radio and Television. I don't know if it's still there. You could go in and you could watch any show from any time. And I watched one, The Decision to Drop the Bomb, and it was, you know, it was a documentary about that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, who knows whether it was a good decision or a bad decision? All I know is that we dropped it. It had such devastating consequences that in spite of all the countries in the world that now have nuclear devices, none have ever used them like that. We're the only people that have ever dropped it on a human population. And I think if we know now what we didn't know then, I don't think we would have dropped it. I think we would have thought twice about it.
Yeah. Obama was the second youngest president ever elected.
Who was
Only
the youngest?
Kennedy was younger.
Kennedy was the youngest.
JFK?
Yeah.
Was younger than him. Wow.
Teddy Roosevelt, how old was
he? Yeah. What happened to Bree? It looks like he froze. Yes, Tony.
They're saying when they I'm looking at Wikipedia, so I don't know if it's. I guess it could be accurate. When they dropped the bomb, they estimated almost 126,000 people died. Wow.
Yep.
Yes.
Probably 100 of those died instantly or fairly.
Yeah.
There was nuclear fallout too, and people died slowly.
And people died from cancer and crap, and from radiation burns and all that stuff for years after.
Yep. Yep.
It ended the war. It got its point.
Yep.
I don't. Did it? But the question is, there is some thinking, and maybe maybe Josh can come in on this particular subject, that the war was almost over anyway. That we had pretty much made enough inroads that we could have, but more Americans would have died in the process. I grant you that, but this just short-circuited that. But that we were on the way to winning that war anyway. Have other people heard that?
Well, we were on the way to winning the war, probably, regardless, but the war doesn't end any time around August of 1945 without the atomic weapons.
Yeah.
I mean, it probably doesn't end until August of 1946 or later. And probably lose at least another 100,000 Americans, if probably more, but certainly that. I mean,
Plus, we had the bomb.
Right.
And we're the only one who had one.
You know, the blockade theory was working, but was going to take at least another year. You know, the various other options were not really all that great. You know, I would again offer as evidence that, you know, the atomic bomb wasn't needed, yet it took 2 atomic bombs before they surrendered, you know.
Well, that's the part of hubris that I can't understand is that if you
the reason that it took 2 was because during, you know, the few days, most Japanese were ready to surrender, but there was a hardline element within the Japanese government and military that wanted to never surrender, ever. And I mean, ever. I mean, they wanted to be either victorious or eradicated from the face of the earth. And just after the dropping of the second atomic bomb, there was an attempted coup on the emperor and the emperor's life that was staved off at the last minute. And some of those high military commanders were summarily executed. And then the emperor decided to surrender. So, I mean, it took 2 atomic bombs and a failed coup. So I would offer that in itself as pretty strong evidence that the war wasn't going to end anytime soon. But there's also another entirely academic argument where you could address 5 or 6 different points, like the blockade and a few other things if you wanted, that would also lay it out for you. But the first part, I think, is simple enough.
Did we tell Japan that we were going to drop a second bomb on them unless they...
Yes.
We did?
Yes.
And they didn't surrender?
Told them we would drop a third.
What? Yeah, I know we had a third. Did we have a third one waiting?
I believe so, yeah.
Not so fat.
The logistics of that were questionable. I mean, we didn't really have...
Well, there was a third one because they tested the first one.
Yeah.
Well, there were 3 bombs. There were 3 bombs. There was the one that we Trinity, and then there were the 2 we dropped. Now, whether there was another one waiting, I have no idea, or how fast they could
the
get.
Japanese couldn't take a chance.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, there were other, you know, like I said, they kicked around a few other ideas, you know. I mean, they, you know, that again, I don't think would have worked. You know, I mean, they, you know, one of the ideas was to invite some Japanese high command to a demonstration in a remote Pacific area of a bomb. They wanted to basically just go bomb a deserted island and let the Japanese watch and tell them, if you don't surrender, we'll drop these. You know, but then they gave up. They would have given up their element of surprise, which would have opened up the crews that dropped the bomb to enormous risk. But second of all, I mean, why would a demonstration have worked? The dropping of the actual bomb didn't
work. Yeah.
I mean, you know, that tells me a demonstration would not have worked.
We came close to losing one of the bombs, the USS Indiana, I don't know, something. Was the ship that took it there quietly to Tinian Island, and on its way back it got torpedoed and sunk.
Yep.
Yeah.
Indianapolis was the name.
Indianapolis.
Yeah. Yeah, that was on the delivery, you know, of the first 2. So, I mean, I don't think we had a lot of choice.
Was that FedEx or UPS?
FedEx.
U.S. Navy. Even more reliable than FedEx and UPS.
I just can't imagine that they saw that what that bomb did in Hiroshima, and they didn't say, okay, we give up.
Well, they did.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, like I said, after the second one, they said there were high military commanders who tried to kill the emperor and or imprison the emperor, whichever they could do, and take over the government in the name of "we will never surrender ever."
Yeah.
Wow.
We will fight.
Was that Hirohito?
Yeah.
Or I had the wrong name. The guy was Hirohito in Japan, or no, I'm wrong.
Was it Hirohito? Yeah, I think so.
Not the emperor.
Huh?
But I mean, they were just. I mean, there was a steadfast group within, you know, Japanese high command that was prepared to fight on forever. I mean, obviously there were some others really the majority that said, you know, we're finished here, we're through. You know, we need to make terms. But there was a sizable amount, you know, within the government that wasn't prepared for that. In the end, it was ultimately, you know, the emperor's decision, and the sort of
let me ask you.
Leaked message to the Japanese was that your condition, you know, your surrender will be unconditional, but we left some breadcrumbs there that basically spelled out, but we will not remove your emperor. You know, and that was enough for them to accept.
We will not remove your emperor.
Correct.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you know, that was another one of their biggest fears, was that if they surrendered, that we would put their emperor on trial for war crimes, and you know,
were there any war crimes trials though for Japanese like we had with?
Yeah, there were war crimes trials for all various, you know, I mean, you know, the Japanese, you know, in some ways were just as, they committed as many atrocities as the Nazi early in that war, just not necessarily always against Americans. I mean, their treatment of the Chinese in that invasion was absolutely as bad as the Nazis in,
by the way, speaking of
Germany or the Soviets.
Speaking of war crimes, how do you people feel about The Hague now has told Israel that they have to stop doing their actions in Rafah, and that also that what's his name, Netanyahu, and 3 of the Hamas leaders are all supposed to go to what's the term?
I'm behind them 100%.
Yeah, well, I'm saying, but the question is, there isn't a damn thing they can do about it.
Well,
you know, I mean, the fact that they've charged them, I think, is wonderful, and I think it tells Netanyahu, hey, the world isn't with you now.
Yeah.
You know, what's strange, you had a guy like Netanyahu who, when this thing first went down with Hamas, had the sympathy of the world.
Yep.
And squandered that. Just squandered that. The rest of the world would have been at his back helping him do whatever was right to solve the problem. But it's terrible. It's just terrible, you know, that he squandered all of that. And the thing that really gets me most of all is the thing that always I had a great fear of. Somebody was saying that too many people have equated Hamas with Palestinians. And so Palestinians should not be thought of in the same word as Hamas. Palestinians are not necessarily members of Hamas. But haven't they done the same thing with Hamas with Jews, and considering all Jews to be enemies of Hamas? Mm-hmm. So, I mean, this distinction of suddenly making everybody guilty who is Jewish simply because of the acts of Israel, it shouldn't be. It just shouldn't be. I don't want to... for years, I've been defending Palestinians. I've been saying I believe they should have a state of their own. I've believed in a two-state solution. But you know, I don't like people in that part of the world, Palestinians, to think that I, as a Jew, am not on their side, and I'm not for them. I'm not on their side when it comes to somebody like Hamas doing what they did, but I am for them having their own state and their, you know, and recognition by the world of the state of Palestine. So anyway, I just don't like the fact that they're equating Jews, all Jews, me. Is there any other Jews here tonight? No. Oh yeah, Alan.
Yeah.
Doesn't seem like he is, but he is.
Jeff.
And Jeff, that we should be considered the same as Israelis. We aren't, you know. And so it's just. But
you're the only Jew out of the 3 of us that hasn't been to Israel.
And I'm the only Jew out of the 3 of you who never will go to Israel.
Wow.
You know, especially to a music festival.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jeez.
You I mean, what Hamas did was terrible. Just absolutely unconscionable.
Yeah.
But what Israel did in respect to that, and in trying to get even, was overkill. And that's sad. It's a whole sad, horrible situation. And it bothers me. So before we leave, I think that we should probably play a game we play every now and then. And it's the first international game we have ever played on this program. And it is, what is Bree eating in Indonesia?
Mm-hmm.
You already know.
Sushi.
Yeah, when I'm here, I eat that. Let me see if I can get a picture. I always come here. This place is great.
This is his favorite restaurant.
Oh, I see. Okay. Now, do they have, when you order there, if I said to them, would you give me a California roll, do they know what that is? Whoops, we lost Bree.
He's breaking up.
Oh, he's nodding yes.
Yeah,
Maybe he's asking.
Bree, did you hear my question? He shouldn't move his camera at all.
He lost his signal for a while or something. Huh?
Yeah.
No audio.
Well, anyway, I don't think he delivers in New York or Connecticut.
See, he's in bad shape. Well, we only have about a minute left here, but anyway, so what a world! If you were to go anywhere in the world, where could you go right now where there isn't something wrong happening?
Mm-hmm. Right.
They're having their problems in England with the prime minister having to call for a new election for a vote of confidence, which he's not going to get. I guess you could go to like Italy or Spain.
Italy's just got the mafia.
I hear nice things about Portugal. But let's not go to any places at war with somebody else. Well, let me start the theme song, because it doesn't matter when I start it, actually. There it is. You can't hear it, but I can hear it here. Jeff, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Appreciate it. And
yeah, I'm glad I came.
Charlene, so sorry to hear about your mother. But
thank you, Alex.
The fact that you feel this bad is how good a mother she was, And my respects to you.
Thank you, Alex.
Alan, thank you very much. Josh, always good to have you here. Anytime we can. Charlie, once again, love your feistiness. Brian, thank you so much, and thanks so much for a quick appearance by that lovely daughter of yours. Is she waiting to come back in? Oh, okay. And finally, let's say goodbye to Tony. Everybody, good night, Tony. Everybody, give a big wave goodbye, and I'll give a big wave goodbye at you. Okay, that's our citizen panel for tonight. We'll have another one on Monday when we do the pop-up show, which will be here at 4 o'clock on Facebook. Otherwise, we'll see you again next. Let's see, Wednesday, same time, same station in life. In the meantime, as always, if you see her, tell her I love her, okay? Good night, everybody. Have a nice weekend. Nice Memorial Day weekend.